God bless you. Thank you for joining with us. I'm Dr. David J. Rogers, and this is Rivers Edge Today. Wow, what an awesome opportunity we have. I have Rachel and Zachary Mitchell with us today on Rivers Edge Today. Uh, I have known you a while, and it's been just fun. You grew up in the church. Zachary, quite literally, your whole life has been around ministry. And Rachel, your mom and dad were heavily engaged. I've known them from Texas, so you were just heavily engaged around ministry all the time. And not everyone's called to pulpit ministry, but everyone's called to some kind of ministry. And if you're around church and you're called by God to serve others, you're going to find yourself getting plugged in.
Yeah,
And that's what both of you have done over the course of your life.
right.
Now, for the folks that don't know you, just share a little bit about who you are, and you have a great story on how you met and how you started to become a couple.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, grew up in Texas, spent most of my life in Farmersville, probably from the age of 7, moved from Amarillo. Dad was pastoring there, mom and dad. And so when we transitioned out of the Farmersville church to North Dallas, we started going to the North Church, and Rachel caught my eye, and I don't like to talk a lot, but long story short, she eventually said, "It's okay if you want to ask me out on a date." I'd probably say yes. So my brother and his wife at the time, we all went to the mall, and they kind of just walked off and left us together, kind of ditched us, and that's been it so far. That's our story. We've come a long way. 2005, we moved here with mom and dad to help plant a church, and we had different jobs during those early beginning times, and I remember one time, me and John were driving back and forth in the swimming pool business to Birmingham every day, and I seen that this car dealership was hiring, and I was tired of driving back and forth, and I told Dad, I said, "I think I'm going to go apply to be a car salesman." And Dad was always very supportive of anything we wanted to do, but he said, "Son, I think you missed it on this one." He said, "You don't like to talk." And I said, "I know, but," I said, I got to try something else, So I think the first month that they allowed me to actually sell and make a commission on my own, I ended up selling about 18 cars. And, I think if you look back at it, God's, everything he does prepares us for the next phase of life. He put me in a situation where I had to supply for my family, which was way outside of my comfort zone, and which prepared me for the next phase of life, operating a business, dealing with people. But one thing about selling cars, and for me, I wasn't a spectacular salesman, but I was just real with people, and people pick up on that if you're authentic, or if you're trying to actually sell them. I don't think I actually even tried to sell a car. I just listened to what they needed and tried to help them make the best decision that they could that would be good for their family. So, and again, that's prepared for the next level of things that we've done, and then that has prepared us for the next level. And if you're a Christian or you have God in your heart, you have to look at it that way, that everything that we experience is preparation, good, bad, or ugly. It's preparation for the next season in your life.
I definitely agree with that because, you look at some of the things that we've gone through, the loss of 2 children. I was a prescription pill addict for 3 years, weight loss surgery, health issues. We've gone through and done foster care and come across a lot of different people, and every phase of life that you're in prepares you for the next season. And sometimes that phase doesn't make sense, but it's always for something better or, something new.
Well, this is where you're living out what Paul mentioned. He said about working out our salvation. The grace of God is through Jesus Christ, and he did it, as the writer of Hebrews says, once for all, which is awesome. But God doesn't look at us. Someone just recently gave a great analogy. You don't get cleaned up to take a shower. You just, as you are, you go take a shower. And that's the same thing God does with us, as he says, you're going to get righteous, and I'm just giving you the gift of righteous, but we're going to work out that process. And that's what you're describing, is working out that process as the Lord takes you from place to place. Now, you said something that I thought was really interesting also. You mentioned about being authentic. Mm-hmm. Too many times, people in the church and outside the church, they look at Christians, and I said in the church looking at Christians as well as outside the church looking at Christians, and saying, that's got to be fake.
Right.
Just share a little bit about what it's like to be authentic with the good, the bad, the ugly, and the work in progress.
Yeah. So, I think, to be able to help people with whatever they're going through, they have to know that you may have experienced something very similar to that. And that you have to let your guard down a lot of times to be able to do that. And, but the more you can be relatable to people, the more you can have the opportunity to speak into their life. And, I've listened to people talk or talked with people in person, and, you just sit there and think, man, I think they're way off track, or they're not being real. And, and most people can pick up on that. So, I think being authentic and humble, that's who Christ was. That was his example. And we're supposed to mirror what he did. And so that's a very big, important part about growing God's kingdom.
Amen. We have come to the end of this episode. We will see you with our next episode again with Zachary and Rachel Mitchell.